Hello there, and welcome to episode 51 of the video game podcast, PlayStation Pals. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm joined by the Otacon to my solid snake, John. John, we're here. It's June.
Yes.
And if you remember all the way back in the Game Awards, how we said June was going to be fire.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, so good. The two big releases, Diablo 4 and Street Fighter 6, are sitting at an 89 and 92 for Street Fighter 6, respectively. And we're just getting started because we got E3-esque events, we got Summer Game Fest, we got Microsoft's Xbox Game Showcase, we got Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, June's hot, man. And it just once again proves that Capcom is on fire. They cannot miss. They don't know how to make bad games anymore, which is really exciting. You know, that's to get a solid launch of a Street Fighter game, especially when you compare it to the launch of Street Fighter 5. Pretty sweet. I know I got a couple fighting game friends that are excited for that. But yeah, I mean, this is always I think we said it on the last show, the show before. It's the most wonderful time of the year, man. This is where all the cool stuff happens.
Yeah, and Capcom's going to keep it going with Exo Primal, right?
Listen, you doubt me. We made a bet on the show that it would be, I think, 83, right? That's the threshold for if I owe Nick a pop or if Nick owes me a pop. I'm feeling pretty confident about it. Like, okay. I played it. We both played it.
Yeah,
it wasn't that good.
That's true.
But it's also not my kind of game, so I feel like judging appropriately.
All right.
Capcom doesn't miss, man. When's the last Capcom bad Capcom game?
That's true. It's I couldn't tell you, actually. No. It's been a long time.
Yep.
All right, but also what's great about June is the Days of Play promotion from Sony is back again. And it's just a site-wide sale on the Direct, on the store, but more importantly, on the subscription. So right now, you can get a PlayStation Plus Extra subscription, that great service that we have been raving about. You can get that for $75. That's less than $7 a month.
It's one game. That's one full-price game.
Yeah, and you just got Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Horizon Forbidden West alone this year. You should be taking advantage of this. Yeah. Easily by 1 year.
I don't want you as a listener of this podcast. If you are not just that smart of a person to just subscribe to it, unless if you just know, like, I play Call of Duty and FIFA. That's it. Also, I'm just kidding. I love everybody that listens to the show. But yes, definitely jump on that, folks. This is probably PlayStation's most all-encompassing sale, I think, that they do. They have their huge, like, Black Friday sales and stuff, but this covers hardware, this covers subscriptions, gear, swag.
Yeah.
And then, it's usually like, I feel like the sale that they mark all the big games off a little bit. Like, you're going to get your new releases. You're going to get, Jedi Survivor. I don't know if Jedi Survivor is one now that I say it. I'm just trying to think of new release games. No, I don't think
so.
But like Sifu, I think I see on sale for the first time. Your God of War Ragnarok, things like that.
all the first-party games are on sale.
So definitely if there's been some big games you've missed,
Destruction
check it out.
All-Stars, $10.
Just wait for Twisted Metal if you're trying to get a car fix. But yeah, check it out. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Thanks, Levi.
As discussed on this show, I was like, I'm probably going to cancel my subscription, but like at that price, and I know it's like you're just like, oh, it's just $25, but it's just like, God, it like less than $7 a month. It's just worth it, even if I'm only playing a couple of games a year. So
yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're at least 1 or 2 more months this year we'll get a day and date release. We just got Humanity, got Chio. Already those 2 games this year. I think if you bought them a la carte, it'd be $60. So
and there was Stray. Game of the Year Stray.
I love cats. Meow, meow.
Before we leave talking about the month of June, it's also a special month because it's John's birthday.
Oh, you're going to do that to me. Yes, it is.
So hopefully John will get to play a lot of games on his birthday.
Yep.
If any special significant others are listening, give John some time with some video games. It's all he ever wants. It makes him a happy boy.
It does. Truthfully, that is my birthday wish, is just to, have a day.
Beat Elden Ring.
Have a day. Yeah, beating Elden Ring would be, actually, that'd be I could probably time that well. If I get my video game day, I bet you I'll beat it, because I'm just about at Mikella, which I think means I have, like, 3 or 4, like, necessary bosses left, so, yeah.
Oh, boy, that's a long time coming.
I love that game, but that game has just been, like, this little fly on the wall that I just can't seem to swat. Especially as we'll talk later, I'm playing through a really hot release right now that just I really want to keep playing and I can't. I mean, I can, but it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's a thing. But thank you, Nick. Yes, I will be 34 years young.
Aw.
Yes.
All right. Well, we have a lot to talk about on this show, so we're going to get right into it. And this is how this show works. John and I both bring 3 things for a total of 6 things. It can be a video game we're playing, a news item. It can be an email to PlayStationPalsPod@gmail.com, a Twitter DM at PSPalsPod, or a comment on our YouTube channel. Subscribe there at PlayStation Pals. Any of those things, we feel like it, and we talk about it. And John, I'm going to let you go first because we're going to move on to a very, very big thing.
Yeah, buckle up, folks. The time has come. We've made it. We are, of course, talking about our top 50 PlayStation Pals games of all time. And this is the heart of the list, 1 through 10. So, buckle up. These are our passion games. These are the games that made an impact more than anything else, and got us addicted to this hobby that we obviously love. So, Nick, if I keep talking, feel free to just shut me up, smack me, because again, some of these are super special to us. So
Sure.
So we're gonna get started off with maybe a game that I would argue everybody listening to this podcast probably has never played. And I would also argue that it's not as good as some of the games that we've already listed, like The Last of Us and Final Fantasy X. However, this is a game that's very special to Nick and I. It's kind of the game, I think we've told this story on the podcast, that got us to realize that, oh shit, we're like the same person, and we both like games at this level.
Yeah, did we just become best friends moment?
Exactly. And we are talking about 1993's Treasure's first game for the Sega Genesis, and that is Gunstar Heroes. Gunstar Heroes is a side-scrolling 2D shooter that is incredibly chaotic, incredibly kinetic, but my God, if even today, 30 years later, it doesn't look absolutely beautiful, has some amazing music that really just carries you through this levels. And this really is a quick game, but obviously, as you can tell by the release date, it was really important to my childhood, obviously Nick's as well. I am younger than him, but not by much. And it's just one of the easiest games to this day for me to sit down and just play. In fact, Nick and I, when we realized this moment, we had this tiny little Raspberry Pi thing at work, and we sat down and played it, and we didn't have to tell the other person a goddamn thing. No. We just knew all the secrets, we knew all the ins and outs of it, and it was just really, really fun. But, the game's set up in a way where you kind of go through 4 main stages, get through those stages, and you're going to go into another one, and then, kind of do some big boss battles and a couple other stages as you go through. You can really beat the game in about an hour and a half. But It's just so nostalgic, so joyful. It's a video game ass video game, and I fucking love it. Good couch co-op game too.
Yeah. It's the art direction holds up. The music is just awesome. It's so good. We have featured it on this show before. And just for a shoot 'em up, the ability to just combine different gun abilities and if you use 2 of the same, you can have 2 power ups going at once and they're different colors. Everything in this game was based on colors. The main character's red, blue. The main protagonist is green.
Antagonist.
Sorry.
We don't like
and
him.
all the gun abilities had different colors as well. And you could combine and mix them, and they all had a kind of a crazy combination of things that you could do with it, so everyone could play a different way.
Yeah, it's green was the heat-seeking weapon, red was the fire. Obviously, you put both of them together, you're gonna have this fire heat-seeking thing that you can direct around the screen. Yeah, you want 2 greens, it's just gonna make your heat-seeking shit fucking obviously more powerful and a little bit better tracking. But yeah, that type of shit I love. I still to this day combining abilities like Binding of Isaac and things like that. I love that stuff, and that might be why is that game. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, and to mention a game that would shoot up to the top of our list of most anticipated, if anyone would get the license to remake this game or make a sequel to this game in a modern art direction of any kind, that would be my number 1 game for sure. That would just be a dream come true.
Do you have any developers that you would want to be in charge of that?
Definitely I don't know their name off the top of my head. Whoever did Streets of Rage 4. If you could take
Dadamu.
Yeah, if you could take that, if they could take
that's a good one.
And that modern, even just that same art style, but apply it to Gunstar Heroes and just think of like because there's a lot of great levels in that the airship, the mine level, like where you're just each riding mine carts and fighting.
You can bounce from. You can ride on the ceiling. You can ride on the floor. Oh, it changed. Oh, I'm on the left and the right side. Yeah, it's cool.
There's just so many things that could be done with a modern remake of that game that would be very fun and very, very popular, I believe. So
yeah, I agree. It's just if they were to either remake it or sequelize it, don't make the scope still nice and small.
Yeah.
Make it a $20 game. This is not something that needs to be blown up and have a 15-hour campaign. Just give me more of the same.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
Exactly.
That's all you need. But I will never forget that game.
Yeah, that's probably the most unique game on our list compared to anybody else's list is going to be Gunstar Heroes.
Yeah. Although I am pretty pleased, as I got older and I was like, what are the best Sega Genesis games? Because that's what I do in my free time. I look up lists and ranks of everything, and it's usually like the first one mentioned.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's way up.
Oh yeah,
there.
for Genesis.
Yeah, Genesis doesn't really have too many bangers, but yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff.
All right. So now we're gonna go across the console war to the Super Nintendo. And we're going to pick our greatest Mario game on the list, and that is Super Mario World. This came out in 1990, was the, launched with a console, this was the reason you got a Super Nintendo. And again, just like Gunstar Heroes, just great gameplay, great music, great art direction. This is where you get introduced to characters like Yoshi,
Yoshi.
Yoshi, Luigi. No, it introduced the cave mechanic. It introduced different colored Yoshis, the red Yoshi, the blue Yoshi.
Nick loves Yoshi. How many Yoshi plushies do you have in your bedroom?
Oh, it's just full of them. I just lay in it like they're a bunch of puppies. It really, again, it kind of just took, Super Mario Brothers 1 through 3 were very good games, but Super Mario Brothers 3, World had to build on those and be its own thing. And it brought that. It brought the world map. It brought tons of secrets, all the keys that would open up secret paths in the overworld, the whole star map. It was just great. Yep. Just childhood bliss.
Yeah, this is just simply the culmination, I think, of 2D Mario. Like Nick said, building on everything that came before it. I would, if I were to say like the one that I think of most fondly back in the day, it was probably 3, but I'd be lying if I said that World didn't do everything it did, but better. And what I really think about when I think of this game nowadays is just how deep it truly was. Like, there are so many different ways that you can manipulate Mario in that game to get him to do the things you need to do. Yeah. And not to mention, like you said, the amount of secrets that there are. Like, when I played through that game as a kid, I didn't know that there was fucking shit, like anything. I was just like, what are these weird dots on the... okay, I can't hit it. So I guess I'll just get to the end of the game. Right. And then you get older, you're like, oh, there's all these secret hidden things, and there's a secret world, there's a secret button over here, and just really ahead of its time for that kind of stuff. And I would, Mario is as popular 40 years later as it was back then because of games like this, because of just solidifying itself as the best out there. So this was IGN's #1 game of all time before Breath of the Wild came out. So, it's a big boy.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Now, this is, let's see, I'm looking at the list now. It looks like 2 of the rest of the games are John exclusives, and 1 might be yours. 2 are yours. And this is one of mine. I think anybody listening to the show knows that the Soul series is, I'm one of those guys. It's just, I'll eat up anything that comes out of From Software. But I truly think the best of the bunch is 2015's Bloodborne. PlayStation exclusive from Software. I believe it was a second-party game, so PlayStation outfunded it, which is part of the reason why we haven't got a sequel yet. I think there's a lot of things kind of trying to be figured out between From Software and PlayStation as to what they want to do with it. But
you felt pretty strongly about it being at the showcase.
Shut up, Nick. We don't talk about the showcase. No, it wasn't that bad. But this game, built upon my love of Dark Souls and just made it. It improved the setting for me. I think Yharnam and just the gothic setting that this game has is amazing. I love that vibe so much. I like the rally mechanics, kind of removing the shield, which is what the shield is what I relied on to get through any of Dark Souls. Like, right. I could not get through any fight without parry, wait, slash. So I would just do that over and over again. But to kind of just eliminate that entirely, put a gun in there that could stun enemies if you hit the right window, and then just kind of wanted you to keep attacking to just, replenish your health.
Right.
Really smart way to do it, to just engage, to force the player to engage in a little bit more of an aggressive way. And just like all the lore implications that kind of come with this game. It starts off super creepy. Everybody's in their houses. There's monsters roaming the streets. And then you kind of get to a point in the game where you realize that, like, oh, shit, I can kind of see everything that's going on right now. And it's fucking scary and freaky and weird. But, like, again, in the best of ways. And, don't need to say anything really more about From Software on a combat level or boss design or enemy design level. But again, I think Bloodborne is the culmination and the best of that, with maybe the exception of Elden Ring. I'm still feel like I've seen 20% of that game. But yeah, Bloodborne, if there was a sequel, it would immediately shoot up to the top of my most anticipated. And I do, to this day, I do think we're eventually going to get it. I know Sony's not stupid. I know From Software's not stupid. If they were able to make a sequel to this game and implement some of the Elden Ring type tendencies into it, it would murder. It'd murder everything. So, Bloodborne. I got to get back in platinum it one of these days. It's
So
one that I
you
don't
keep
have.
saying.
I know. Time is an illusion.
Yeah, it's funny because before Elden Ring, that was the game they'd say would convert you. Like if the Souls games weren't doing it for you, like you play it, you bounced off of Dark Souls 1 through 3 or Demon Souls. It was like, play Bloodborne. This will be the one to get you.
And you haven't touched it, have you?
No, I've never played it.
Yeah.
So
that should speak to how strongly I feel of this game.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nick hasn't even. I held him down. I said, Nick, this is going in the top 10.
All right. So moving on to number 7, and I don't know if we timed this perfectly like this intentionally, but maybe we did.
Lucky 7.
But there are a lot of watershed moments in gaming. I would say Ocarina of Time was, bringing a 2D game to a 3D plane was a watershed moment for Zelda, right? Zelda Ocarina of Time is this masterpiece of a game. And I would say the same thing on the PlayStation side, and that is with Final Fantasy VII. For many people, this is the de facto JRPG of all time, including myself. Again, I was the right age, it was the right time, and I remember being over a friend's house and just playing 6 hours straight, and that just got us out of the opening city. And then you get to the world map, and you're like, holy fuck, what the hell? And just talk about a game with amazing music. God, the music is iconic. You can play a song from this and anyone will know what it's from. Exactly. To amazing characters, Cloud, Tifa, Red, 13, Cid, all the characters that I'm excited to see in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth when they appear, but that appeared in this game. And just a great story with a bunch of great twists, a phenomenal ending. Just this was like people's introductions to 3D JRPGs, and it was incredible. Like, what other game could have a summon that lasts like 8 minutes? Like you would raise a gold chocobo, go to an island, get a summon for Knights of the Round Table, and then you would sit there and watch it do a bazillion damage as every Knight of the Round Table attacked it.
Every time.
Yeah, yeah, not skippable. And yeah, just one of those formative games for me is that really get me hooked to video games, and I've played through this game a few times, and I definitely plan on playing through all the remakes that are upcoming. So, that's why it's on the list and at number 7.
Yeah, this one I feel like I might have been 2 years too young. This came out what, 97, 98?
97.
So I was 8 years old. Like it was just a little too intense for me at that point. But I did go back and play it later in life, and definitely understand what it truly did for video games and the things that it shifted in the industry. I've beaten the whole Midgar section. I've gotten to the overworld, and at that point I was just like, I don't know what to do. And this is before quest markers and things. You're like literally, if you're not paying attention to what the NPCs are saying to you, you're lost.
Right.
And so, but yeah, I think if you were to build a Mount Rushmore of video games, Final Fantasy VII would be a very strong candidate for that.
Yep. I agree.
All right, Nick, this one, maybe the most talked about game on the show. And you can just sit there and be quiet for a while because you truly don't understand what it means to be a great video game.
No.
But whenever I think about my favorite game of all time, I used to always be a Final Fantasy X, and then I would shift, and it was always the new God of War is what it is. But after making this list and looking at all the games that I forced high on there, it might be my favorite game ever. I don't know. It's really hard for me to make that statement, but Nier Automata did something to me.
She made you a man.
Made me a man. 2B and me. But this game, it was just an emotional experience that I don't think I'll ever forget, video game or not, until the day I die. And not to go into this too in depth because, the combat's great. It's made by Platinum. It's fast. It's kinetic. It's fun. But the two things that really set this game on the top tier for me is, in my opinion, it is the greatest soundtrack that's ever existed in video games. I think it's just from top to bottom incredibly well done. It's not for everybody. It's kind of ethereal and weird, and the languages that are being spoken aren't any languages because this game takes place 11,000 years after humanity has basically fallen. So this is a world inhabited by androids and robots, so they're doing their best to kind of replicate that. And that's kind of like the direction that Yoko Taro had with this game. It's just every inch of it is intentional and designed to feed into a greater thing than itself. So, and the other thing is the narrative, of course. And what I want to focus on specifically, at least right now, is just the ending, which I think I've brought it up a couple different times. But this game has 26 different endings, but 5 of those are important to beat to see the whole game through. Mm-hmm. 5th ending being the last one. And the ending of this game, you fight the credits as a little white triangle and go boop, 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 boop. And you're fighting the credits as they come down. And as you hit the credits, little balls will explode from them. And some of them you can dodge through, some of them you can't. And then you go through and as the credits come, it just becomes flat out impossible. You cannot get through this, but you don't know that that's how it is, right? And so you're going through, you're beating your head against the wall. You've probably lost 10, 15 times, not seeing how the fuck you can get through this. And then you get a little message on your screen that pops up that says, "Is it all pointless?" And you go, "What?" No. So you hit no, because it'd be weird if you hit yes. And you try again. And then you go again, and you go again, you beat your head against the wall. And then a couple tries later it goes, Do you think games are silly little things? And you go, what? No, I don't think games are silly little things. And you try again, and you keep going. And as this is happening, some of this amazing music that I've talked about so much is playing in the background. It's kind of nice and soft, and you just, relishing in the fact that you beat a game that you obviously truly loved, at least I did. And then you keep going, and then you go, do you admit there's no meaning to the world? Okay. And again, this is a philosophical game. You've gone through this whole thing realizing, are androids people because they're self-aware? Are robots people because they're self-aware? What makes a human? Yada, yada, yada. And then you get one that says, give up here. Yes or no? And you'll hit no. And you try again, and you say, give up here. No. Until eventually you hit yes. And then you're going to get a rescue offer from a random username. And this username is, in fact, somebody that beat the game. And something I forgot to mention, as you're going through these different prompts, you start to get little messages that are popping up on the screen. It'll say you got this, Germany. Okay. Don't give up. I believe in you, France. Japanese characters, Japan. And you're realizing that these are messages from people that have beaten this game. And once you basically say, I want to receive help, the music shifts. A choir starts to come in, and you start to get little ships alongside your ship, and you can destroy the credits, and the music builds, and everything's amazing, and the words in the song shift to different languages like German or French or whatever to kind of really give you a sense that this is a bigger thing than yourself. And by the time you get to the end of that with the story that you've been provided during the game, it's just it truly. It makes every single person that I feel like I've talked to that gets through that part is did you cry? Yeah, I cried. I did. Every YouTube person I've seen does, because it just does this thing so beautifully. It's such a nice touch, and I applaud Yoko Taro and that entire team for the thought and creativity that went into something like that. You can truly feel the heart in the entire thing, and that's again, alongside just fun, fast, shooty, swordy combat. So I'll kind of stop there, but I really encourage people to give Nier Automata a shot. Don't just put it down immediately, because the first playthrough, which takes about 6 hours, is different from the second, which is different from the third. You kind of bounce back in the fourth to go through something. It's this whole package that ties together so well, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I need to just buckle down and just give it a real chance.
I don't want you to at this point.
Oh, geez, okay.
Because I know you're going to be like, yeah, it's fine. Like, no!
Yeah, it's true. As hyped up as it is, it's...
Yeah. Well, you're the one who always tells me, is like, you can't hype things up to people too
No,
much because
no,
then they're going to come away with it like, I guess.
Yeah.
So-
They have to come to that realization naturally, not forced. Usually you can't go, oh, this is the greatest thing of all time, and they come back and they're like, oh, you're right, it was the greatest thing of all
doesn't
time.
happen.
Like, it just doesn't work that way. So.
But that being said, I would love it if you played that game.
Yeah, I did try it, and then I don't remember. I bounced off of it, and something else came out. I don't remember.
Yeah, well,
but I should give it
copy
another
waiting
shot.
for you whenever you need it, bud.
You holding on to that forever?
Yeah.
Are you sure you can take it down from the shrine you have built?
No, but I really should get a 2B, like a Nier Automata shrine. I thought if anybody knows what disc plates are, they're like these like really super nice like metal poster things you can get, and I've thought about like getting like a 2B1, a 9S1, like a little the little pod guy that you have.
Don't lean too hard into it. One thing.
Why not, Nick? It's amazing.
Then you're gonna look weird.
I don't care. I'll look weird for 2B. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, but
let's.
Come on. The game sold almost 8 million copies at this point. So like, come on, sequel. Come on.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, I know. You're chomping at the bit.
Yep. All right.
All right. Let's
now,
move.
Now, friend of the show, Will, I know this whole time you've probably been like, where is it? Where is my game?
Yeah.
So here you go.
Yep. So number 5, we're gonna go with 1998's Hideo Kojima masterpiece. I know we hate Death Stranding on the show, but I truly am a big Kojima head, especially because of this franchise, and that was because of Metal Gear Solid that came out on the PlayStation 1. This was just a transformative game for me. And the first thing is because not only was there voice acting, there was a lot of voice acting. And you might roll your eyes now at that because, Kojima games, there's just dialogue after dialogue after dialogue. Explain this fictional technology here. Explain this and this. And there's so much of dialogue in his games. But back then, games just didn't have that. They didn't have full open dialogue all the time, and not this good. David Hayter's Solid Snake is perfect. All the voice actors in that game are perfect. And, if you ever look up the history, it was like recorded in someone's basement in their house. Like all this voice work for this game, yeah. I think it was Chris Zimmerman was the voice director for this. And, that just blew my mind. Just like how much, wow, this is like watching a movie. Like it's just an interactive movie that I could play. And I don't know, I just really got sucked into the espionage action of the whole thing, the twists, the turns, the aha moments, the Metal Gear, questions.
Metal Gear?
But
Why does
also,
he always sound like he's asking a question every time? Metal Gear.
Yeah. But also like the Kojima-esque gameplay designs that were put in that, like to beat Psycho Mantis, to change controller ports to beat him.
Legendary.
To having to look up a codec that was on the back of the box of the game. Like the case that you bought it in, you had to look at that to get a specific codec to get in contact with Meryl. Like it's just...
It's like the original troll, dude. He's like the original troll. He's like, haha, you guys will never see this coming.
Yeah, nobody thought of this stuff at the time. And really they don't really do it now either. Like there's not a lot of fun outside the world or, kind of fourth wall breaking elements in video games typically. But this game had it all, and is just, again, it was the right time period. It is really kind of where I moved away from gameplay first and more into story and characters. I value those more over gameplay. I can overcome bad gameplay if the story and the characters are there, and then Metal Gear Solid kind of ushered in that transition to more mature games.
And we're the opposite in that regard.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
But yeah, I didn't play this when it came out. I was a little too young, I think. I don't think my parents would have liked me to be playing a game with guns like this at that age. But what a trend-setting, important game. It really just showed you at this time of of video games. Not that they were in their infancy. They've been around for 20, 25 years at this point, but it truly showed you what games were capable of and the stories that could be told in these environments when all you really had before that was like the princess has been captured, you got to go get her, or Sonic the Hedgehog
Right.
where you're just chasing a guy, the robot dude. And to put this level of production behind something is pretty cool. I'm glad you brought up the Kojima messing with people and like with the controller ports and stuff. I remember when Death Stranding was getting announced and was getting ready to come out, people were talking about like, oh, is he going to mess with us again? And there was a rumor, I remember, that he was going to somehow tie in people's social media accounts into it so that you could like legit like from your phone like post messages and things into it. And I was like, oh, that'd be pretty cool. I don't think that ever came to fruition, but
No.
he's always thinking of weird ways to do things. I think he had a Game Boy Advance game or something like that where you had to use the sun to
I think it was like buck tie or something.
yeah, something like that. It would like you use the sun solar panel on the machine to charge your attacks or something in the game. It's something weird like that, but Kojima's a master at that stuff.
Well, do you remember the lead up to Metal Gear Solid 5?
Not
All
really.
the fake company, the
Oh,
Swedish
yeah.
company, the fake designer making the game and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
why abandoned rumors went fucking nuts because of everything he did with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a character, man. I mean, he gets a little sometimes with me, but I don't think there's denying that during his Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3 days, it was all gravy, baby.
Yep.
All right. Moving on. Another, as we get to these final ones, guys, these have all been talked about probably pretty extensively, so don't have to go into it too much. But Hades, the game from Supergiant, 2018, I want to say. I should know that off the top of my head, but I don't. But perfect game, incredibly well done from top to bottom. Gorgeous art direction, incredible gameplay, tightest controls you could possibly feel. Going off of the Gunstar Heroes things, just the combinations that you can receive to let you destroy your enemies with a engaging story along the way, and the music that fucking slaps every inch of the way as well. All these games are incredible top to bottom experiences, but this one, I really feel like when, as I've said on the show sometimes, I really got to stop saying as I've said on the show because I say it all the time.
Well, some games we've just brought up so many times that
it's hard not to.
This is one of them.
But I feel like you do need to evaluate media as what is it trying to accomplish and what is it trying to do. And this one nailed it, 10 out of 10. It was just perfect for me. Absolute perfect game. Can't wait for the sequel.
Yeah, I wish we were doing live reaction shows for the Game Awards because then we would have really seen John just flip out. Like, he would have been running out of the room.
Is that Hades? Is that the music? Is that the Hades music?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was in our top 10 PS5 games. It is a perfect game. Every time we can get someone to play it, they love it, I think.
Yeah.
Is your boy Brian still...
No, he doesn't count.
Okay.
He doesn't know anything about Rocket League.
But yeah, it's just near perfect. And from Supergiant Games, a very small studio where you got people working on the game, doing the voices and stuff like that, and just to have that kind of product like that, and it's getting a sequel. It's great. It's and yeah.
It is one that I would recommend to any single person who says I like video games. Just try it.
Yep.
Just fucking try it. It came out at release at $30. You can get it now for like 10 or 15. Like, there's no reason if you're into video games in 2023 that you haven't at least tried it.
It is in that Days of Play sale. So
there you go.
All right, so we're really getting down there. Number 3. This game came out last year, and it's not Elden Ring. It's God of War Ragnarok, the sequel to God of War 2018. And again, as we were doing the show at that time and the lead up to this, is how much we love this game, how much we love what Sony Santa Monica did. Not Cory Barlog. I forget who the director.
Eric Williams.
Oh, good. Look at that.
I know things.
And Christopher Judge and was the Atreus actor.
Sonny Soljic.
Yeah, there you go. Expert right
I love
over
this
here.
game.
What they did with this sequel, and one of our biggest complaints of God of War 2018 was enemy variety and not enough big boss fights. Well, what does God of War Ragnarok do? change it, increase the enemy variety, and have one of the best boss fights we've ever played ever in our life. Boy, I'm really spacing Garm. Thank you. It conquered all that, and it's funny. Like I question bringing it this high because, I played it very fast. I played it in like a week's time, and then I also when John and I we platinum games, I platinum this, and the platinum is a bit of a grind. So you kind of come away with like not the greatest taste as you did like right when you finish the story. Like, oh my god, I can't believe what just happened. Mm-hmm. But that's looking back on it is like absolutely this game belongs here. It belongs in number 3. It is right now the flagship game for an entire platform, the PlayStation 5.
Yep.
You get a PlayStation 5, number 1 on the list that you play this game. You have to play it.
Yeah. I love this trend. I feel like we're in right now where if a game or a movie or something comes out and it's exceptional, you can only release a sequel to it if it's better. And it seems like God of War Ragnarok did it, Tears of the Kingdom did it. As the day of we're recording this, it seems like the new Spider-Man movie is doing just that. So, this is just one of those examples. And as God of War 2018 is one of my favorite games of all time, and this just took everything and ramped it up to 11, from the story to the encounters. I still think of that line at the end of the game, spoilers for the game, and also 2018. Atreus' real name is Loki, and he kind of, it's a coming-of-age story. He needs to go out and become his own man and not live in the shadow of his dad anymore. And when Kratos finally accepts that and he goes, Loki can go, but Atreus stays here. That I can't not think of that moment and just like get a little bit teared up as a dad.
Yeah.
And it is something interesting, Nick, that you love this game as much as you do without the dad angle. Because of course you can. Like it's a phenomenal game, but just adding that extra layer to it is a little special something too. And I know they've said that the Norse saga is over. Maybe we'll get an Atreus game. I don't know, but one thing's for sure is Kratos ain't gone yet. Like it sold too much. It was too critically well received. There's no reason not to keep this franchise going. Whether that's in, are we get to go to Egypt or do we just figure out a way to continue this in some way? But needless to say, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, boy.
All right. So this one. Probably the most controversial game I've ever experienced in this industry, with maybe the exception of Hogwarts, because that was a whole shitstorm. Mm-hmm. But in 2020, we got a sequel to another game we saw on our list, number 13, which was The Last of Us. We got the sequel, Last of Us Part 2. Mm-hmm. And this game immediately came out with a ridiculous amount of conversation around it.
Well, there was the leak.
It got leaked. Got leaked 2 months, I believe, ahead of time. And so you found out, spoilers for The Last of Us Part 2. I would hope everybody's played it, but what? You say no?
I don't know if you should say
that. Because of the show.
Because of the show.
Sure. Yeah, we'll stay away from spoilers. There's a very important narrative point at the early part of that game that got leaked and caused all sorts of fucking drama. Mm-hmm. And then when you compounded some other things with it, like Ellie being gay, her having a partner in the game, the main antagonist, kind of being a more masculine-looking person. It just created this horrible, toxic environment that, to this day, kind of pisses me off. But I'm not going to linger on that. This game, it had the narrative impact of this game. It left you feeling something. Not great usually. It was usually a very bad feeling, but I think that you cannot fault a product for the type of feeling you receive. It set out to make you feel a certain way, and it did that incredibly well.
Yeah.
It gameplay wise, it improved everything that the first one did. From being able to go prone to just having a little bit more visceral, like up close encounters. The shooting felt better, and getting to continue the story with Ellie. This is. They say the first Last of Us is about love, whether that's love in a good way or love in a bad way. This one is about hate and revenge, and you feel that the whole way. There's a narrative shift halfway through that kind of throws people for a loop, but again, Naughty Dog did such a good job with this one, and I feel like I do have to spoil this part of it because this is exclusively for the game, I think. But you start playing as Abby, halfway through the game,
Right.
who is the enemy of Ellie, right? And you spend the first half of the game playing as Ellie, everybody we love, and you have to play as this girl. And she does some things that, make you immediately not want to be her. But by the time I finished my playthrough with Abby, I loved her almost as much as Ellie. I think Naughty Dog did an incredible job humanizing these people, making them feel real, making their struggles and their things, making you understand them and you kind of putting yourself in their shoes. And, it's an incredible, incredible game. I will judge you if you say this game is not good. I will tell you don't know anything about video
Well, give
games.
your argument first, and
No.
then we'll go from there. Oh, no?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, you can make an argument about the narrative shift in the middle. That's fine. There's
Yes.
some pacing issues. I get
Yes.
that. But that is not a reason to say this game is anything less than a 9. It's incredible. And, to go on to, the Metacritics and see the user scores like a 5.5. It's just it's stupid.
They do that
It's
to every
stupid. It
game
doesn't
now.
matter, but it
Every game gets
pisses
it
me
now.
off. Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom gets the review bomb, so don't worry
Stupid.
about it. Yeah, it was funny because when you were talking about Nier Automata and what is so high about it for you was the emotion, and I instantly thought of Last of Us Part 2. I was like, that is why this game is so high. We play so many games throughout the year and the years, and if I ask you specific story beats about a lot of them, you're probably going to be like, I don't remember. But Last of Us Part 2, you're going to remember a lot because there's just a lot of things you'll never see in another video game. This is Naughty Dog's, up to now, their magnum opus, their best playing game. You remember that little rope that you could carry around
Yeah.
and move around the environment and then cling onto things, and it would just fall, and then you could roll it back up in your hands and then do it, all kinds of things like that.
I've heard developers say that is maybe the single greatest example of black magic fuckery that's ever been developed, with maybe some exceptions of Tears of the Kingdom. But yeah.
Yeah, and just a good feeling game to play. That's why we're excited for Factions mainly, is because this game felt so good to play. Like a multiplayer game would feel so good in this engine. It's so well perfected and so fine tuned, and the options Ellie has as a character and Abby are just so good. And yeah, I think people the backlash on this game is because people saw the leaks and they didn't have a lot of the context. And I think when you play the game with and have that context inserted, I don't think you'd feel the same way. Not even close.
Yeah. If you're a rational person.
Right. So, and yeah, it's just a game that'll make you feel a lot of emotions. I don't know about, I wouldn't say revenge, but I definitely hate is definitely a very powerful emotion. And the game really, really wants you to feel that. And you do. But at the same time, by the end of it, you're just exhausted.
Yeah.
The hate is exhaustion. There's nothing comes from hate. It's a like with Batman, he's always telling the story of if he ever killed the person that killed his parents, he would just be an empty husk of a man because it doesn't fix anything. So just that hate goes nowhere. It just fills you. It robs you of reasonable decisions, valuable relationships. I mean, what it got Ellie at the end of that story is not anything, not good.
Nope, just 2 less fingers.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just this game is incredible. I need to play through it again. I'm waiting for some kind of PS5 release for this game to play it again, because I was just distraught. It was just I can't go back and know what I'm going to experience it again, because there's just so much to be bummed out about, a lot of emotions to feel. And
you're already kind of a person that I feel like you're a very empathetic person, in the sense that when you watch something or when you experience something, you kind of get so into it that it affects you. I remember you coming into work after beating that game. You're just like, I just can't. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Maybe I am that empty husk of a man, but either yeah, it's incredibly emotional. And
yeah, we love Naughty Dog. We love The Last of Us, and God, I can't wait till 2026 when the show comes back and when they can cover this game, because it's
the internet. It's gonna be wild if they follow the game to a T.
Yeah,
it'll be wild.
which I think they will.
I agree.
They should.
All right, Nick, bring us home, my dude.
All right, so here we are, number 1 of our favorite games of all time.
Saints Row 2021.
Yeah, there you go. And this will go back to when John and I first met and we realized we were both into video games, John asked me this very question. And he framed it as, what is the greatest game of all time? And that was my answer. This is my answer then, and it's our answer now.
We had the same answer.
And that is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, the 1991 game on Super Nintendo. It encapsulates everything that is a perfect game. Perfect world, perfect story, perfect art design, perfect gameplay, perfect music. Just everything about it is just it's what Nintendo does best. There's some kind of magic that they infuse in all their games, and from this game on and before that, that they do that just makes their games incredible. And yeah, this was it. This was the magnum opus of Nintendo, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is one that does, it holds up in today's light, but if you were to travel back in time 32 years and play this game and realize the things that it's doing and the systems that are being established that are going to carry on for years and years and years to come, I don't think you'd be able to really kind of wrap your head around how much it's truly doing. This is the third Legend of Zelda of all time, like third one ever. And this was the sequel to a side-scrolling. Link's Zelda 2 is a side-scroller game. So what this game did is it established the overworld that we have come to know, the Kakariko village and Hyrule and where everything is placed. It established the dungeon format where you're kind of going into different dungeons, getting different abilities that let you kind of go to other areas.
Yep. Establishing
Everything that this series has come to know. And I think when we talk about that Mount Rushmore of video games, Zelda's not a conversation. He's on there. It's Zelda and Mario are the two surefire things that would be on there. Link would be on there.
Yeah, and just the impact that this game has on everything. You can see elements of this in every game, even now. When we talk about Hades, part of that feels like you're playing A Link to the Past.
Yeah, that top down feel. I think I'm sure there was top down games that came before that. Even you could argue the very first Zelda, but what Nintendo was able to do on the Super Nintendo, it just like I can't believe. Nick asked me before the show started, I was like, what year did Link to the Past come out? I was like, I don't know, 93, which like that's only a 2-year difference, but like that, it's crazy that Super Mario World and A Link to the Past came out 1 year after each other, and just revolutionized everything that was possible in games. And like I said, it still holds up. I will go back and play this game.
That's big.
Which you can't really say about like something like Metal Gear Solid. Even trying to play like Metal Gear Solid nowadays, it's like I can do this, but it doesn't feel good. This feels good.
Even Twin Snakes.
yeah. And it's our favorite Zelda. There's people that would probably argue Ocarina of Time or whatever the case like that. But I think when you just evaluate the quality of a game with the impact of a game and the timing that it came out is just unrivaled, and that's why I think it's our number one.
I agree. It is incredible, and I do think it's better than Ocarina of Time. I'm sorry.
I agree. Well, obviously.
Because it just takes all the elements of that game and just brings them into 3D. Z-targeting was a smart idea, but, hook shot, boomerang, so many other things. Well, boomerang was before this game, but a lot of elements were just taken right from A Link to the Past. The other world that you went to, that was in A Link to the Past.
Oh.
So... Yep. It was all there. So, yeah, just an incredible game. And, yeah,
Did you ever watch, like was your introduction to the game, like, literally just, like, sitting down and be like, what's this? Oh, what's this again? Like, was that your introduction to this? Because for me, it was I would watch my cousin. My cousin would play, and he'd just, like, what is this? I don't want to play it. I don't know what I'm doing. But I would just sit there and just watch him.
I don't remember, like, the first time I played it because I didn't have a Super Nintendo. So, it was definitely with a friend. But I don't know. I remember the opening to this day. I remember a lot of the elements to this day. I remember the ending to this day. It's just seared into my brain because I've probably played it like 10 times. So it's just
you gotta play
incredible.
It 10 more times in your life, man.
Probably.
But
I should get on a playthrough of it.
Yeah, so there you have it, folks. That's our top 50. Obviously, I'm sure there's many people out there that are listening and they're like, well, you didn't have this game. Let us know. Let us know what we missed. Let us know, what would be in your list. I know, obviously, Will, you're going to have Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's a good list. That should have been the top 5.
Our top 5?
Yeah.
Sorry. It just goes backwards. Metal Gear Solid 5, number 1 game. But yeah, let us know what we missed. Let us know, because I'm sure there is a game in it. I'm sure there's something that we left off the list.
Yeah, and I actually want to do a segment after all this Summer Game Fest nonsense gets behind us, that the games that got to the cutting room floor that had we not had to succeed, to Nier Automata, to Metal Gear Solid, that what would go in its place if we were to put the next game in there. So I expect that to be a future topic of games that did not make the list. So
sweet. So you gonna recap the top 10?
Sure.
All right.
Number 10, Gunstar Heroes. Number 9, Super Mario World. Number 8, Bloodborne. Number 7, Final Fantasy VII. Number 6, Nier Automata. Number 5, Metal Gear Solid. Number 4, Hades. Number 3, God of War Ragnarok. Number 2, The Last of Us Part 2. And number 1, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Great. Good.
Yes.
Pretty good game. Pretty good list.
All right. Well, that took a lot of time.
Yeah, what are we at? Like 40 minutes already?
50.
Oh, my God. All right. We'll try and go quick here, folks.
All right. So we're going to move on to our next topic, and that is Summer Game Fest predictions. And if you're not aware, as we mentioned when we were talking about the PlayStation Showcase, is Keeley has another big event coming. He kind of has 3 big events now: Summer Game Fest, GamesCon, and the Game Awards. Well, we're on to Summer Game Fest. This is airing on June 8th. It'll be on at 3 p.m. Eastern. And this is what we know so far going into it. We know that Alan Wake 2 gameplay reveal will be there. And we know a Mortal Kombat 1 gameplay reveal will be there. We do have a rumored Final Fantasy demo in the ether. Some people have noticed it on the PlayStation Store, but they can't download it. And this showcase does take place exactly 2 weeks before Final Fantasy 16 releases. So that is a very likely thing to happen.
Okay.
In fact, I would almost guarantee it.
That's what we said about some other stuff.
Yeah, that's true. And this does exist around other showcases. Not only are there smaller showcases happening that same day, Devolver Digital is having an event. Days of the Dev is going to be that day. But we also have the Xbox Games Showcase on June 11th. And Ubisoft Forward on June 12th. Ubisoft has teased Avatar, The Crew, and Assassin's Creed, and something new, and that's it.
I hope they killed X Defiant.
But I wanted to start here first, and that is Sony. As you all know, we were very dissatisfied with the Sony showcase. Last year at the Summer Game Fest, the big reveal there was The Last of Us Part 1 existing and factions being worked on. So that was Sony. Sony was the big closer to that show last year. And so that's where I want to start first. And that is Sony going to be there? And what do they have to bring that they did not bring in the showcase? We did get the Ratchet & Clank PC announcement. That was one of a rumored PlayStation game was going to PC, and it is Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart.
Yep.
Sony already announced that, so that's off the table. What could they bring, John?
So, I don't think we're going to get a Last of Us level thing from Sony. It doesn't sit with me that they would not bring something of that level to a showcase. It just simply that I can't explain it any more than that. So what I think we're going to get from them is a new game announcement, and it's going to accompany another trailer for a show that's coming out soon. I think we're going to see Twisted Metal, and I think you're going to get a new trailer for the show.
Bravo.
Yes.
I believe we had that prediction for the showcase itself.
Yeah.
But yes.
I think that vibe fits well. I think the level of excitement fits well. It kind of goes off of the live service announcement that they've been talking about, obviously, overwhelmingly with the showcase. The show is July something.
Yep, end of
So
July.
it definitely fits the timing for that. And I think it's the time that you announced the game to kind of just drum up the excitement.
You know why I think you're right on the money here is because unlike the Sony showcase, Game Fest has a stage presence. And a stage presence means Jeff Keighley can interview people.
Anthony Mackie.
And he can interview Anthony Mackie and Will Arnett or anyone else that's in the Twisted Metal show.
Who's
and
the wrestler? Samoa Joe?
But he's just a body actor. Will Arnett is Sweet Tooth.
Sure.
So, I would be shocked if that doesn't come true. And I think you are right on the money. That is exactly what we're going to get.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sweet, dude.
Bravo.
I'm pretty good.
Granted, we did make that prediction at the showcase, but I think you're right. When I just had that thought that Anthony Mackie can be there, I'm like, that is a sure thing.
Yeah, a broken clock can be right twice a day.
All right. Is that the only one you got?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking earlier, and I was like, oh, I bet we can see some gameplay from Fair Games. But, I was looking, and Haven was formed 2 years ago. That seems quick. Granted, I'm sure they're getting a lot of help from Bungie and other teams, but after I looked into the timing and the dates, I wasn't as confident with that feeling.
Yeah.
But
okay.
So no, that's all I got for Sony.
Yeah. And the only other thing I can think of that would be smaller, but also again, why wouldn't it be at the showcases? A first-party VR title that it necessarily isn't Team Asobi, but it very well could be. But if any of their other teams have some kind of side project where Insomniac seems to be able to work on multiple games at once, saying 5 or 6 games at once for some weird reason. I'm just joking. They work at 2 to 3 at a time, it seems. But that they might have a VR title. It would seem like maybe this would be a good place to show it. And because it seemed like the Snitch and Tom Henderson seemed like they had multiple announcements that were held from the show. And like I said, we got the PC Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart announcement. It seems like we would have other announcements as well, but
yeah, you know what? I often forgot about first-party studio, Sony London. They did Blood and Truth.
Okay.
That could be a likely candidate for somebody working on a VR title. And what was the other one that Fire Sprite. I feel like I hate that they have Firewalk and Fire Sprite because I get them confused in my head so much now.
They were gonna call it the Mountain though.
True, but how big's the team? And was the entire team working on it? Because I know they did the Persistence VR, which was a game that they released before they were purchased by Sony. So they obviously know their way around the platform pretty well, and it could be a situation where they have a couple teams going. But again, because Sony has fostered this ecosystem, it doesn't say that hey, we need some help over here. It's like okay, go assist for a little bit. So yeah.
Okay, all right, and then moving on to other predictions, these games have showed up at the Game Awards and Summer Game Fest before. Do you think any of these games could show up? Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, Hades 2, Armored Core 6, Death Stranding 2, Honkai Star Rail, Crash Team Rumble.
Yeah, some of those are definitely going to be there. Death Stranding 2, I think, is probably a very, very good guess. Hideo Kojima and Keighley are boys. Honkai Star Rail, I think, will definitely be there as well. It just came out on mobile, and it's going to be coming out on PlayStation soon. And I think that's the level of a thing for this. Do you mind reading those games again, Nick? I lost.
Phantom Liberty, Hades 2, Armored Core 6, Death Stranding 2, Honkai Star Rail, or Crash Team Rumble.
Yeah, I think Cyberpunk's going to be at Xbox. I believe leaks a lot more. I believe that leak that happened a little bit ago that they said Cyberpunk DLC will be talked about at Xbox and some other stuff. And Armored Core 6 and Hades 2. Armored Core 6, yes. Hades 2, no.
Okay. And and obviously more games were at those events, but I brought these ones because they said next year.
Sure.
So Hades 2 said maybe not release, but early access in 2023.
Yeah, I would love it, Nick. I would love it. I don't know. I hope the team is really taking their time with that, and I could see them totally just being like, we're just going to send out our own tweet post when we're ready. But I think something like Armored Core 6, it's a larger profile game. It's got a imminent release date in August. Yep. Like, where else do you show it? if not now.
Yep.
Like, you can't really wait for Tokyo Game Fest because that's, I believe, after that date.
Yeah, you just have Gamescom, but that'd be, I think, too soon, too close to the release
Yeah,
date.
and there is a history of FromSoft partnering with Keighley for this stuff. They've showed Elden Ring there, so
Yep.
yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
I didn't really think of that.
All right, and then we can just continue on. Now we got the just kind of other predictions. The big one kind of being, we just mentioned Armored Core 6 and his relationship with From Software and this particular game. But do we get Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree? Is that here at this event?
The rumors about that game are that it's FromSoft was going to do 2 DLCs, but it was so big that they just decided to combine it. So I don't think we're gonna see it. I think that's a next year game. DLC. But I think it's going to be very much like a Bloodborne 1.5. It's going to be huge. It's going to be, Elden Ring 1.5. And I think it's just a little bit too early. And From Software is going to want to show.
Well, by next year, you're saying 2 years after Elden Ring.
Yes.
Okay. All right,
yeah, I don't think it'll. Yeah, 2 years would be, because Elden Ring was what, February, I think, something like that. So yeah, it might approach that, but like. Elden Ring is eternal, Nick. Like, they could release DLC for that game in 10 years and people would dust off their PS5s and boot that shit up. Like, they don't need to worry about, I think, the timing of it all.
Okay.
Especially since the way that they do things narratively. It's not like it's this cohesive thing that flows. It's just like, we're going to pull this lore, and then let people dissect it. So.
Okay. All right. And then Electronic Arts does not have a showcase at all. Is Electronic Arts... Here is Dragon Age 4.
Poor Dragon Age.
Here. Or any other of their properties. I mean, they do have Immortals of Avium, which we saw at the showcase.
I can see that here again. I could see that showing back up. I don't know. EA is a weird company with me. It's like I almost intentionally ignore everything they do. Their games have never really been for me.
Or maybe It Takes Two.
Sequel from Hazelight. I think that's a little too early still. I think that would be more like a Game Awards type thing. I don't know with Dragon Age, man. Like it's been in development. We've known about it forever, and every single time they release something, it's like 5 seconds, and it's just
Barely.
and they're like, we're still working on it. Here's some concept art. So it's got to come out at some point, but it seems like it has had a torch of development. So I'm gonna say no.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna say EA is. They're going to be there. Of course they're going to be there. I don't know. I don't think they'll have a big presence, though.
Okay. All right. All right. And do you have any other predictions than what I've mentioned?
I do.
Okay.
So just looking at some of the partnerships, right, we see Sega on there. I'm going to say there's been rumors we're getting a remake or remaster of Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi. I think that's going to show up here. Yeah, I know. Not my cup of tea either, Nick, but I know some people go crazy for that shit.
Jet Set Radio is pretty good, but what level of remake are we talking? Like MGS Collection?
Yeah, I think they would up-res it. I don't think it'd be anything special.
Why not?
I think we'll see more Baldur's Gate 3, Larian Studios being there. That can be the only thing that would be. But then my big prediction, my thing that would, be awesome if it fucking happened, is that they're going to close the show off with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think they're going to show that off. I think they've seen tweets and things of the past couple of days saying, like, we're on target, everything looks good, which I feel like the PR teams come out with, like, right before they're going to show off something. So I'm going to say we're going to get a...
Now, remember, we did mention that I mentioned that we expect the Final Fantasy 16 demo announcement at this show.
Yeah, but you're dumb.
You're saying on top of this, they're going to go and talk about their other Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's this would mark probably the very, very, very end of the PR cycle for the pre-release Final Fantasy 16 stuff.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to show us any brand new trailer, and if they do, it's just going to be a rehash of anything we've seen. So I think it's time to kind of get eyes shifted towards what's the future, and obviously that's the next huge game. It's slated for winter 2023/4. So. Yeah. It could show up at Tokyo Game Show. It is a very obviously Japanese-centric thing. But that's just I'm taking my shot, Nick. That's my shot. Is going to close off with Rebirth.
All right. Well, the only other prediction I brought was that we haven't seen this game in a very long time, and that's Monolith's next title, the Wonder Woman game.
Good one.
We got the Flash movie coming, which is rumored to have a Wonder Woman cameo.
Good call.
Suicide Squad has been pushed to next year. Warner Brothers will already be there with Mortal Kombat 1. So why not this as well?
Yeah, synergistically it makes sense.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
When was that teased or announced? Was that like 2 years ago?
I believe that was the Game Awards of 2021.
Okay. Yeah. You got to talk about it at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could definitely see that happening. I mean, another superhero title that we know of that's know nothing else besides that it exists is the Captain America Black Panther game.
Okay,
like,
yeah,
there's that one
that's
out
true
there
too.
But I think the Wonder Woman game would be more likely, with that synergistic thing with the Flash movie releasing and it being probably a further along project that would make more sense.
Yeah.
So, good one.
All right. That's it?
Yeah, I have some bullshit ones like Modern Warfare 2. We'll see stuff, but like,
You mean Modern Warfare 3?
yeah, sorry. But I don't know.
Yeah.
They might tease. I could see them doing like an Avatar teaser and be like, "Stay tuned for the Ubisoft Forward," and
Yeah,
you'll get
that's
all
very
your
true.
all your shit.
Very
but,
true.
Because they do have Ubisoft listed as a partner, which would like they have their own thing like 4 days later, so that doesn't
Right.
make much sense. But no, that's all I got, man.
Okay.
That's all I got. I'm trying to keep expectations,
Well,
where they need to be.
a show announcement here. Just like our reaction video for the PlayStation Showcase, we will be recording us watching the I want to say the Game Awards, but Summer Game Fest. It is reportedly 2 hours long. We figure, hey, we might as well sit down and watch the whole thing. Hopefully, we'll be a little more excited than we were in the Sony showcase. So stay tuned.
We might get to see some Foam Stars gameplay.
Oh, God, yes. Oh, man. You want to see me get out of my chair. So maybe expect that. And our expectation is the show will be so big. So, again, we're setting great expectations for ourselves that our next show, episode 52, will just be all about Summer Game Fest. So stay tuned to that.
Yeah. It will be regardless, even if the show's not incredible. Because we'll have to just bash Jeff Keighley then.
Right.
All right. Should we talk about some games, Nick?
Yeah, let's talk about some games because we've spent a few weeks off. So we're gonna.
Sure.
The first game we're gonna bring is that big reviewed game we talked about at the start of the show, and that's Street Fighter 6. 2 weeks ago, I put Johnny on the spot to play it with me. He did not. He let me down. But I quickly wanted to talk about my time with the open beta. Obviously, not much that needs to be more to said it because it's reviewing so well, but we'll touch on reviews too as well. So in the open beta, you had access to the Battle Hub. And do you remember what the Battle Hub is?
Is that the single player?
No.
No, I don't know.
Technically, it kind of is because it's where you bring your single player character into the online world.
Okay.
So you're kind of in this big lobby. It's really kind of clunky, but you move your character around into some guys playing on a fighting arcade machine. You can sit across them and you'll fight each other.
No. Cute.
Yeah, there's no you don't just enter into matchmaking like anything. You'll sit down into the chair across from them and you'll fight. It's kind of weird because it's kind of like PlayStation Home where you're walking around. You can do emotes. You can play old arcade games there. Like you could play.
Old Capcom games?
Yeah, old Capcom games. Streets of Rage. That's the one that I was in there. And yeah, you can go to a DJ booth and be DJing, and your guy will be like bumping, and it's just a bunch of absurd things. I don't know why you just can't have a straight matchmaking system, but I guess this was probably increases engagement. I don't know.
Yeah, man. So those Gen Z people, man, they got to express their individuality. I'm just kidding.
But anyway, I did play a couple matches. I played as every character that was available. Again, really enjoying the modern controls. Like, it's really nice to not have to be like, oh, this is how I do an uppercut as Ken. I have to do this button input. It was just like, oh, the guy's in the air, forward triangle, bam, got him.
Yep.
Just not having to worry that extra element. Just worrying about timing, learning their moves, and blocking. That felt really good. That being said, it still feels really bad to get your ass kicked in that game.
Yeah. It always will.
Yep. When matches are, even, having a great time, loving it. When you play somebody who obviously knows what they're doing, it sucks.
That's how you get better, though, Nick. That's how you get better. That's
I
what
don't
I tell
know
my son every day.
I don't know how you get better when they're just pummeling you with a crazy amount of moves and you can't even block them in time, and it's just.
Well, the only way you get better is you need to 50 hours of that.
Yeah, pretty much, right.
Are you willing to put up with that punishment?
Yeah. And I know I played Rocket League. I've seen my skill increase just from playing the game a lot. But that still does not feel all that good. And even with the reviews, which I'll get into in a second, I mean, are you in, John? This is a 92.
No.
Okay.
I want to be, but I mean, I bought Dragon Ball Fighters. I bought Tekken 7. I bought Guilty Gear.
Stop.
I bought Mortal Kombat.
Stop. 10 and 11.
10 and 11. And I don't know if I did more than 3 fights in any of them.
Okay.
So, like...
I should just buy this one.
Yeah.
Full price.
No, I just really, really need to probably stay away from it.
Okay.
Because I want to. It's cool. Like, it's the most I've ever been interested in one. It's just... I would be mad at myself. I already get mad at myself when I'm spending an evening playing a Rocket League tournament.
Right.
And if I'm then just going to be fighting probably you, because I don't want to. I'm not going to want to go online. It's just not going to be worth it.
Okay. Well, it does have a lot of single player stuff. You wouldn't necessarily have to be doing all the.
It does, but is it? Is it really single player? Like, it is, of course it is. But like when the content is like, go in this fight, go into this fight.
It's
like I'm just fighting still.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, and just like with Street Fighter V, like this game's going to exist for years.
Right.
Where you're probably going to get a version of this game free at some point, and then the 10 DLC packs will be how they're trying to get more money out of it.
Right.
You know, so but it is awesome that it's reviewing so well. I'll read a few reviews here. You know, IGN's Mitchell Saltzman had to say, Street Fighter 6 is the most feature-rich a Street Fighter has ever been at launch, but even beyond that, its roster of 18 characters is excellent. The new mechanics revitalize the one-on-one fighting formula, and it absolutely nails all the little things that make it for a stellar fighting game. And then going on to Game Informer, Elijah Gonzalez said, between the cohesive aesthetic, the bounty of clever features, and crisp central gameplay, it's one of the most impressive entries the genre has seen in some time. Yeah.
Can't argue that. I mean, I pulled up the 106 reviews, and there's 1.6, 1.7, and everything else is an 8 or higher.
Yeah.
So overwhelmingly positive. If you're a fighting game fan, if you know your taste, you will like this game.
Yeah, it's really tempting.
Yes, well, especially because you don't have a game to play really right now, so it's timing is
I'm looking. Yeah. And if Final Fantasy 16 wasn't 3 weeks away, that might also be a different story too. But I'm sure it'll come back to this show in some format. Either you or me will jump in, but not at this time. But I'm really happy for Capcom. As we mentioned on this very show, Street Fighter V did not enjoy this good of a launch.
No, it was like a 75, I think.
And it had to kick in, punch its way, to a decent score, and now it eventually got there. But for Capcom to just blow this out of the water and be one of the big releases of the year, and again, as we said, June was going to be a big month, and with this game hitting as hard as it's hitting, it's really poised to be one of the biggest months in gaming in a long time. So good on them.
Yeah, I got one buddy who's really into Street Fighter V. That's like the only game he plays. So I do kind of want to reach out to him after. I'm sure he's got to be getting this day one, and just kind of pick his brain a little bit.
Sure.
Like not that we're fighting game aficionados or anything, but never hurts to know.
Don't get too technical on me.
Right.
All right, so let's move on to our fourth thing.
Yes. So I've been dabbling with a little game called The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, and just want to kind of go some initial thoughts in my typical fashion. I haven't been able to put in 20, 30, 40 hours of this yet. I'm still kind of early on, but I've been able to get the main 4 abilities. If you're familiar with Breath of the Wild, you start off in an area. In Breath of the Wild, it was the Great Plateau, and you have to go to, I think, 3 or 4 different shrines that give you the abilities that you're going to carry out throughout the game. This is very much the same, except you're on the Sky Island, right? The whole thing about this game is Hyrule has basically splintered. There's a sky area. There's an underground area. This game is, if Elden Ring is, it's Elden Ring-esque, right? Mm-hmm. So it's very intimidating in that regard. But I don't know what I'll be able to really say besides what probably people have already heard. Just that I echo all of those sentiments.
Okay.
It's
Sucks.
Yep, it sucks.
Okay.
Next game. No,
I got a question for you.
Sure.
How does it run? That is like the biggest question on my mind. I know, like, and you're not the Nintendo fanboy. This is not like you're.
Yes.
I mean, you very much like this game, but you're not like the Switch isn't the only platform you play games on. This is not. You're coming from it from a different viewpoint than I think most of the internet discussion is, which is just, jerk off all over this game. Jerk off. These cum shots everywhere. Like.
You're right. You're right. And I think your suspicions are kind of right. If I were to criticize this game at all, I've only really been playing it on handheld mode, admittedly. So, like, but I have put it on the TV, so I've seen what it looks like there. It looks rough, man. I wouldn't even say it's mostly how it runs. It's just, I don't know. I feel like we've crossed into a level of graphical fidelity and just the way that things looked with this new generation where it really makes it seem a little extra gross. Like the colors kind of bleed in a little bit with one another. There is some pop-in happening, some rough edges and things like that. So, if I do think reviewers did not take any of that into consideration when they graded it, which, you're a reviewer, you can grade something the way you want to, but there is definitely some bias happening with that.
And I think what a game's trying to do can always overcome the issues that it has. Like Skyrim, and like that game was very buggy, very broken. But what it was trying to do was so vast and so innovative that you could overlook those faults because just everything else about it was so great that you could fill a house with cheese wheels and then come back and the house still had all the cheese wheels in there. That's incredible game design, John.
Yeah.
And same here. Like when you see what people are building, how many different areas there are to explore, what all the different abilities you have. Like what's the ability where you can just go up?
Ascend.
The
that's
ascend
like
ability
that's
alone.
like the most oppressive thing for me.
So I think so I don't want to just be like, well, they ignored it. I think just when you look at this game as a whole, that you sometimes can minimize those things when everything else about the game is just.
Yeah, and that's exactly you're exactly right. That is what this game is. The technical marvel, the physics involved and the abilities that you have. It truly is probably the most impressively developed game I've ever seen. I was watching online earlier today this dude who built this flying device that he attached. So it's like a drone that would circle an enemy encampment, and he had a little ground soldier on the bottom of it. And so he flew the drone over the encampment, somehow detached the drone. The drone goes into the camp. Everybody starts scattering. The drone up top just starts lasering everybody. It's exploding, and he's just sitting on top of the house just watching it. And it's like that level of interactivity, it blows my mind. It almost seemed like these two things were working in tandem with one another. I don't know if they were or not, or if just the AI is that good. But to build a game that is this big, that is this, there's this many corridors and buildings and things, and you give the ability to, I can just go up if there's something above me, or I can just put things together if they're able to be interacted with. And to build a game that doesn't break, that doesn't, get you into a situation where you're completely fucked. It's truly, truly impressive. And then you add the fun factors too with like an ability like Fuse. Fuse is not as cool as I initially thought it was going to be, like when they showed it off, but it's still fucking dope. Like especially with the arrows, because like there was many times. This game's hard. If you played Breath of the Wild, I think it sometimes takes people back how hard this game is. It almost feels Souls-like in that way. But, I came across this game's all about exploration, so I'm just running through Hyrule. I see something in the distance. I go towards it, and there's these huge enemies I've never seen before, and they one-shot me. And I'm like, well, I guess I can't do this right now. And I kind of just started to run away, but I thought, wait a minute, no, there's different rules at play here. We can figure this out. And so I tried to attach a bomb flower to my bow, and it just two-shotted them. And they just exploded apart. It was great. And I was like, oh. And it really gets your brain doing these little things over and over and over again. When you combine with the way that they structured the world, right, with these little shrines that kind of use one of the mechanics you have in a different, unique way to get your brain to again turn to use that ability, skill, whatever later in the game. It's really, really, really cool. And then the things besides just the abilities. I really dig the tone. It's definitely got a darker tone to it than
That's good.
than Breath of the Wild. You know, a game starts off very, very cool opening where you're kind of going into the underground with Zelda, and you stumble across the skeleton of Ganondorf, and it's really creepy. It does this like thing where his head's like upside down, his eyes glow red, and he starts like, you know, the world starts to break apart, and it's just you know, Zelda gets lost and all this stuff, and you know, it's nothing crazy narratively, but it definitely has a vibe to it, which I dig. But yeah, I mean, you know, I am not crazy deep. I will continue to play this. This is the game that I just keep saying, play me when I'm trying to get through Elden Ring. But luckily it's on the Switch, so there are times where I can just jump on it when I don't have time to go in my basement or anything.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I can't sing its praises high enough. It's pretty, you know, it's truly one of those special ones.
Good. Yes. Shocking, huh?
Right. But yeah, you are right though, man. It's like, you know, in watching the game docked, you know, it looked a little sharper. I noticed that the draw distances were better, things like that. But it's still, it's not the prettiest game you've ever seen. You know, I think they hide a lot of it with the art style. You know, the art style, if it allows it to do that, you know, a little more watercolory, pastel-y, you know, whatever. But it got away with a little bit there. Some Nintendo bias, I think. But again, like, you know, I still have a long way to go. If I were to review this game, it is a 10 out of 10. Like, it is based on what it's been able to achieve thus far. So, you know, I can't really, you know, now if all reviews were like, you know, if you went to Open Critic and it's like graphical score and gameplay score and things, then like it'd be a different story. But
okay,
good stuff, my dude. You should play Breath of the Wild.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, so moving on to our fifth thing, John.
Hey, we did it.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it. We beat it. We both beat it.
Yes.
So, so I was able to get through Resident Evil 4. This was Nick's copy, so, you know, he wasn't able to get to it until I got it back to him. But yeah, I kind of wanted to let you take the conversation here a little bit, Nick. You know, I mean, we'll go over our total thoughts with it, but you know, this is a game that I think you were not down on, but just tired of the formula that was being presented to you, and you got back to it and felt a little bit differently. So we'll go through it. Just I want to get your thoughts. I'll give you my score and stuff as well.
Okay.
So what's your Resident Evil 4 take?
So if to bring people back up to speed is, I played Resident Evil 2 and 3 earlier this year in preparation for 4, and then started playing 4. And at the time, we wondered, well, you know, is it because I played those two games before that I'm getting kind of fatigued on this? Or maybe it's because I'm playing Persona 5 in the background, which, as listeners of the show know, that I loved very much, that I just had to put the game down because I wasn't enjoying it anymore. So I gave it to John, who completed it. And then once he completed it, he gave me it back, and that was 100% the case. You know, stepping away from it, not having Persona 5 in the background, being able to go back into the game and focus on it, definitely turned me around on it. It is a very good game. It is very fun. Certain sections, I think, drag on a little bit. I do think the weakest part of the game is because of that, is any encounters with the Ganados, because there's so many of them. Yeah. And this, not right from the village section to every encounter after that, those are my least favorite games. And then including the last third where you're getting Ganados that are wearing, you know, body armor and stuff like that. There's just too much of it. Like, and I know, like, it's an arcade game, and it is impressive how many different weapons you get in this game to deal with them. But at some point, it's just like, I've had enough of this enemy type. And my most favorite points of the game were the ones where they're not there. Yeah. You know, the troll fights, the lake scene, the driving around the lake, the minecart scene, the regenerators, which I remembered from the previous game, which are just scary as fuck. Yeah, they're creepy, dude.
They're creepy. Did you ever see the mod somebody did where they replaced Ashley with a regenerator?
No.
It's really funny. He's just like... just like going through the whole game.
And those are all my favorite sections. And none of my favorite sections are like, you know, even like the bugs are a welcome like change of pace to Okay, God, here we go again. More Granados. Are they throwing dynamite at me or fire? Or they got those little pitchforks? Is it an electric pitchfork this time? And it's just they just keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. And so those are the weakest parts of the game to me. But I think everything around it, I think outside of Ada Wong, the characters are all great. I thought Ashley did a great job as a character, as a person that the right amount of like scared and had to protect. And I even thought the section where you had to play as Ashley was also scary as fuck. Was one of the better sections of the game. And the Jack Krauser boss fight, like holy fuck, did I have fun doing that one?
Cool.
That one that blew me away. And it's basically a scene where Jack Krauser was like your mentor, and he's putting you through basically like combat training. You're either dodging him, shooting at you, or attacking you with a knife. And then when you're not doing that, you're going through his little playroom of traps and booby traps and Leon Kennedy's worst enemy, the bear trap, that you somehow seem to walk into all the time.
But it never hurts him.
yeah, he does. He does walk away from it pretty okay. But yeah, and you kind of accept the game as cheesy as it is. The Sadler and which I still don't know what his deal is. I guess he just wanted to take over the world.
Wants to be just power hungry, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
You could end all world wars if you can control everybody, but it's just it was fun. I really had a good time. I enjoyed, when I picked it back up. I think it was chapter 11, and taking that all the way to the finish was a good time. Yeah, good. I really liked it.
What's your score?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll talk and then you can think about it. I echo a lot of what Nick said. I just simply what I was expecting to get out of this game kind of wasn't what I got out of it. I was kind of expecting to go back into this world. I've never replayed Resident Evil 4. I played it back when it came out in 2005, but I forgot a lot about the story. And things like that. So I was kind of excited to get back into the world and see Salazar again and things. But what I realized is like I simply kind of counter to what you experienced, I think, Nick, is like I really just enjoyed the gameplay combat loop of it. Of going in and just using the different guns that I was able to tweak in my specific way. The loop of getting the headshot you needed, running through, hitting him in the face with a roundhouse kick, which is just ridiculous, or, leading everybody down a corridor and using some grenades and your shotguns, your whatever. I was very surprised with how action heavy it was. I never felt like I was going to run out of ammo or anything like that, which, you could use as a negative for the game. But with what the game was, I was one of those guys that kind of viewed Resident Evil 5 as the shifting point in the series, and that's not true. Like at this point, like after playing through this again, no, this series shifted with this game, and it's not a bad thing. But like, yeah, it is very, very action heavy. I do kind of wish it slowed down at certain points, gave me more closer claustrophobic areas. I think Resident Evil works the best when you are inside a building or inside something that makes you feel a little bit claustrophobic, like you can't escape. Like I wasn't the biggest fan of the island section, just because when everybody starts getting armor and I'm shooting people in the head and like, oh, I just knocked his helmet off, I got to do it again. That's when like things start to get a little bit annoying. Similarly to Dead Space, how the last mission of that game is just like you're just going through and you're blowing all your ammo out. It's like, this is fine, but this isn't what I'm here. But this one played a little bit better, and I had a little bit more fun doing it. I think it's just more consistent. With Dead Space, you weren't doing that for most of the game. It's like, what the fuck?
Resident Evil, from the village section on, it was kind of like reverse. Like the slower sections were out of nowhere. Most of it was fast-paced. But maybe one of my, like, what I enjoyed about the game the most is maybe like the little bit of the minutia shit. Like, I still love the case. I love organizing the case. It drove, like, I tried to do you hit like L3 and it organizes it for you. Yeah. It drove me nuts. Because it's like everything's not where it needs to be. Things need to be, here's my ammo, here's my healing, here's my grenades. Like, it has to be organized. It's silliness. Are you disorganized in your personal life?
No, okay. I don't know. Weird, then. Yeah, I don't know. Something satisfying about the clicking and the rotation and like the cube structure of it all. But then I love the economy in this game too. I think it's a very rewarding game in the sense that every single enemy is giving you something, which I appreciate. Like it just gives you a little bit of dopamine whenever you need it. But then also they were very generous with the treasures that you would get. They're very easily labeled on the map, so you can like. I think I got all 41 without even looking at the map in the first area, and I was like, oh, that was cool. So they're not hard to find. The gem inlay system is fun. That's just a stupid little way.
It is really dumb, but satisfying.
It is dumb, but yeah. Did you get the crown and put did you get the 100,000 selling trophy?
I think I did. Oh no, I didn't.
Because it was a crown, and you got the square ones, and you got to get one color of each. If you have a different color of each, it multiplies it by 2, and so you get 100,000.
Okay.
But it's just just get like, yay, I got that, and then and then you get that money, and then you get to go blow it on some gun or some upgrade that you've been wanting for a while. Because that's the other angle to the economy is like, yeah, they are very very forgiving with just the ability to continuously change how you're kind of approaching your combat. Whether you want to pump all your I pumped all my shit into the handgun. I don't know what you did,
yeah,
but
which handgun?
Red 9. Yeah, I know. You did the one that you could shoot through, right? Shoot
Yeah,
through
the
heads.
Punisher.
Yeah. No, I went high damage, and it really worked for me the whole game because it was just one shot in the head, roundhouse kick, knife on the ground, done. And yeah, it's just this. Lots of little loops, but it does, as you go through it, it's like, all right, can I not fight another group of 40? And that's like early in the game. I remember like thinking I was doing something wrong because that very first village fight, right? It's timer based.
Right.
You're not going to kill everybody. And like as I was going through, I'm like, is this another fucking time thing? I swear I killed 30 people, and like, no, I just had to kill a couple more.
Right.
So it was a little intense in that way, but Salazar, great villain. The stranger is a good merchant, despite us having a convo about, he's a good merchant, Nick. He's good. Yes, he is. No, he's at least good.
He's fine. He just got iconic lines.
So are we splitting hairs? Are we rowing?
Yeah.
No, he's
rowing.
I mean, he's an above average merchant. He's above average. And it's a 4 out of 5 for me.
4 out of 5. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 4 out of 5 for me.
Okay.
It's not perfect, but everything it was doing, I think it did very well, and some Ada Wong's voice acting bad, and just maybe some slight pacing issues.
So I wouldn't I wouldn't go after Lily Gao. Whoever directed her and was like, that's how it works.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they should
not that lifeless. All right.
Yeah. There should have been some audio director or sound director or somebody that goes, no. You got to get her back in the booth, and maybe her schedule simply didn't allow it or something. But then
voice lines ate ahead.
Then you figure it out. I don't know. But it was bad.
Yeah. And I just briefly want to talk about the rocket launcher because I think the inclusion of that is perfect. It's a one-time use weapon, but it instantly beats any boss you fight. So if it's like, oh, I'm stuck on, you fight 2 trolls at one point, or you don't want to do the Salazar fight or the Sadler fight, it's just like, buy the rocket launcher, shoot it, done. Yep. No stress. And I really think like I know this game has some microtransactions and
does it?
It does, yeah, for upgrade tickets.
Gross.
But that inclusion, that's kind of the gameplay design decisions I like. Is like, okay, I don't like this boss fight.
Give the player the choice.
Yeah, I'll take. I mean, and there is sacrifice. The rocket launcher is 80,000 pesos, so it's not like you're just I'll just take the rocket launcher on this boss that I don't like. It's like, well, no, I'm gonna lose out on upgrades and supplies, but I'll be able to get through this boss faster. So I thought that was a great inclusion and. Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. I didn't know that it was a one-time use when I first got it. And I guess luckily I bought it right before the first troll fight because I found some treasure. It all worked out. I was like, oh, let me see how much damage this does. And like it just the fight started. I shot it and the fight ended. I'm like, what? And then I went back into my inventory. I was like, where'd my rocket launcher go? But, I did admittedly use it for the last fight just because I had a ton of money, and I was like, yeah, whatever.
Right, exactly, yeah. It's a game that's supposed to be replayed, even though we're not going to replay it. I mean, you'll play it when the VR version comes out, but yeah, it's good, and you're right. It probably is a 4 out of 5. It is a very good one of those, and I really, really want them to make an original game in this engine. So let's not go to 5. Let's not go to Code Veronica. Let's just do an original game that's in this engine.
Well, you saw what the survey they just sent out is, right?
No. I mean, I saw that they're sending out a survey, but I didn't see
they sent out a survey to everybody asking what game they want remade next.
No.
So
No.
it's probably. I mean, it's probably going to be Code Veronica.
I bet it'll be 5. I have a feeling.
Yeah. But I agree with you. And I do think 9. I think 9 is going to be this first or third or VR game.
Right. It'll be all 3.
They might charge you $100 for that version. I don't know. They might paywall it, but I think they've been using these little things here and there to kind of the Resident Evil 7 and 8 VR space
Right.
and stuff to mess with that. So
All right. Well, before we move on, are you going to play Resident Evil 3?
I gave it back to Will when I saw him the other day. I mean, I want to, dude. It's just like to put it in front of Tears of the Kingdom, Elden Ring. Do you want me to put it in front of Cyberpunk? But I know this is only $6.
Well, that is my point. Is like it won't sit in front of you very long. It'll be like, okay, I play it, finish it. I'm just curious as your thoughts is now that you've played Resident Evil 4 to go back and play this.
Yeah, I should. I really should because now that you gave me your copy of 4 because reasons, and I have 2, and I have 7. I should just get them all. Maybe I will.
I mean, it's usually under $10 when.
Well, right now they have that Welcome to Raccoon sale for 2 and 3 for $15, so I could trade 2 in and just get that for like $10 or something. But it's digital. I don't like digital. Gross. Digital games. Ugh.
John,
you don't like digital games either. Shut up.
Yeah, but when we're talking $10 or less a game,
sure.
I mean, I'll happily just and again, there's always the nice of it just exists in my menu bar. I don't have to pop out a disc and put another disc in. It's just like
I really went through it with Tears of the Kingdom because I was like, I should just get this digital. I don't ever want to probably get rid of this game, but I was like, nah, I gotta have the box, so I went and got it. But because it's a pain in the dick to have to. Like, I don't have fingernails. I'm a nail biter. So, I can't open the fucking cartridge thing on the Switch. So I have to find my wife. Hey, open this for me or get a knife. But I'm sure Tears of the Kingdom will live in there for a while.
All right.
So.
Well, anyway, post Elden Ring, we'll see what John is looking for. Maybe one day a wheel might return, and we can put Resident Evil 3 as one of the entries. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I will say
you to give it a shot.
I will probably want a little bit of a palate cleanser after Elden Ring. I'm not going to want to go, okay, Tears of the Kingdom time. Like, time to jump into another 120-hour thing.
Right.
So.
Right. So I'm just saying. Let's just keep it on the back burner because I would like to ranking the 3 against each other. It would be interesting.
Sure.
So, all right.
Sure.
All right. So wow, we got there. Final topic. It's a quick one. We're at the end we are into June. What are those January PlayStation Essential games? Again, this is the lowest tier of the subscription. You get these 3 free games at the first Tuesday of every month. So June 6th, if you are subscribed to PlayStation Plus Essential or above, you can pick these up. And what are the games? Well, the big one, NBA 2K23. John, you gonna play this?
No.
No. This comes from Visual Concepts and 2K Games, currently sitting at a 79.
All right.
This game's not even a year old.
No. These games hold their value worse than probably anything else. The moment that the next one's coming out, this one is worthless. So it's a nice thing to do. I think NBA 2K22 was also a free game for us at one point. It's a huge one. It's just we don't live in that space. We know that
it's not
sports
our jam.
games and Call of Duty is what everybody plays. So I know this is gonna make a lot of people happy. Some friends we have at work, we're pretty psyched to see this. And I think it's only got a 79 because these games are riddled with microtransactions. Like as a basketball game, if you're into basketball, it's very, very good.
Yeah.
It's just I got better things to play.
Yeah, of course.
For me.
All right, and then the next game is Jurassic Evolution 2. If you ever wanted to run your own Jurassic Park theme park, kind of like a Sim City simulation game like that, I play Jurassic Evolution. It's a very good, again, palate cleanser. You're not going to play a lot of games like this.
This one's supposed to be a lot better, though.
Yeah, it did review better. It is at a 79 as well.
Okay.
And also a game that has not even been out a year yet.
Yeah.
This came out in November of last year, so it is kind of wild to see these games already up.
Yeah, it's like with this Days of Play sale, it's like Seafood's $24. I'm like, that's pretty good. That'll probably be extra in like 3 months. So
Exactly.
maybe not. I don't know.
Exactly.
I love and hate it.
And then finally, we have Trek to Yomi from Flying Wild Hog and Devolver Digital. This game is just over a year old, and this is sitting at a 72 on OpenCritic. This is kind of the wild card, John. Do you have any interest in playing this?
Aesthetically, absolutely. Like I love samurai movies. I love Akira Kurosawa, who did like those old school black and white Japanese, Rashomon, Seven Samurai, things like that. So aesthetically, absolutely. It's just a bummer because it seems like the main complaint against this is it just has really frustrating limited combat, which as I said, I like combat and game feel is more important than anything else. So if it doesn't feel good, and there's I don't think there's any in-depth systems or things like that, I might download it, check it out, but I would not be surprised if I boot it up and pretty quickly turn it off.
Yeah. Every one of these games.
It's fucking pretty though, dude. Like,
every one of these games
aesthetic.
has a PS5 version, which is also nice. And again, if you're subscribed to those tiers, just add them to your library. They'll exist there forever. And then maybe one day you'll be like, hey, I want to play it. Yeah. It sounds like me and John might be skipping these.
Yeah, it's a pretty weak month, but it's a good month to be a weak month because, as we discussed, it's kind of a banger of a month.
Yeah, you're either playing Street Fighter, Diablo 4, or Final Fantasy 16,
Or Elden Ring.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're fine, asshole.
Gosh, that game's like over a year and a half old. It's older than these games.
And I bought it day one, and I'm a Souls freak, so I don't know what's going on. Life happened.
Wear protection, folks.
Yes. Ugh.
All right. Well, that is it. That is 6 things. We did it, John. That was one hell of an episode. We covered a lot. What are we going to be previewing for next week, other than the game, Summer Game Fest? Do you think anything will be on the radar?
Well, first and foremost, Nick, I just want to say you've been doing a great job with the show.
Oh,
and I got you an award. I got you the top banana award.
Oh, thank you.
You're now the top banana. I expect to see this every day. Until
he's been playing with this under his desk the whole time.
Yeah, I've been playing with a banana underneath the table.
And I was wondering what he was doing, but
you saw my banana, did you? Okay. No, in terms of things, I mean, honestly, my only message to the audience this week is, if you have not tuned in to Netflix for I Think You Should Leave, sketch comedy show with Tim Robinson, season 3 just dropped. And it tickles. We've had countless references of that show. Admittedly, it's not for everybody. So if you've never checked it out,
unfortunately,
you might think it's the weirdest thing you've ever seen. However, it's incredible if you let it sit with you. But no, other than I Think You Should Leave, no, I'm gonna continue doing what I do and try and hopefully on my birthday weekend I get get a good one from my family, and they say, enjoy yourself. Here's some beverages and some food, and I'm gonna get you some pizza. Enjoy playing games. Yep. But no, man. Other than that, I'll just kind of be doing Tears of the Kingdom and Elden Ring.
It's gonna be a very busy month. Obviously with the announcements, but we will be playing games behind the scenes, so it'll probably be like this episode. We'll kind of have like a bunch of announcements in 1 week, and then all the games we played in those 2 weeks, and back and forth. But just the next week's episode is 52, which means for a full year we have been recording PlayStation Pals, and we have not missed a single week.
It's pretty good. I didn't that was kind of our mission statement from day one, is like, we're going, like, we have to, if we're going to do this,
right,
it has to be consistent.
Right.
Otherwise we have not, we already don't have much of a shot to, become huge, but maybe one day. And first year, 1 year down, 52 episodes, pretty good.
Yeah.
And more than 52 because we did some specials.
Yeah. But a year straight of
right.
recording. So I expect maybe not next week, but some things going around that. Well, maybe a quiz for John about the show. I think okay, you looked. His face sold it.
The amount of times that I've brought something up to Nick at work, and he goes, "We talked about that on the show." Oh, sorry.
So that'll be very fun then. So definitely expect that maybe in a few weeks, because again, this is June. It is a cool month, like just announcements. And I know we were let down by the Sony showcase, but maybe Summer Game Fest is it.
Keeley he's like Emperor Palpatine. Like he just gets stronger and stronger. Maybe that's not the right person. I don't know Star Wars very well. He's like some Star Wars character that just keeps getting stronger by sucking. He sucks all the energy around him. He took E3. He took Kojima's powers. So
That's true.
I expect it to at least just kind of be a little bit better than it was last year or whatever. That seems to be his way of doing things. So.
Yeah, I think he's poised to have a very good show, especially with a weaker PlayStation showcase that I think he will bring it. All right, so that's the show. This is the song we're going to be leaving you on. It is Hyrule, sorry.
Hyrule.
Hyrule. And this is a mishmash of our favorite game of all time, A Link to the Past. It's by Game Chops. It incorporates all the music, all the sound effects. It's just a really good jam to jam out to and celebrate, our favorite game of all time, A Link to the Past.
And the greatest.
Yes.
Both.
So enjoy that. And then, expect on YouTube 2 things. We're going to upload them back to back. Our reaction to Summer Game Fest and then our discussion of what happened there. So be excited. Yeah. So we thank you for watching. We thank you for listening. Again, if you have any questions about the show, PlayStationPalsPod@gmail.com, PSPalsPod on Twitter, and @PlayStationPals on YouTube. Any of those things, leave a comment, send us an email.
Tell us what game we missed in the top 50.
Yeah. Tell us why our opinion is wrong. Please, I will happily have that argument with anybody. But,
Ocarina of Time has got to be probably the #1 game that would be on most top 50s, right? Maybe some Half-Life action.
Yeah. But I don't know. But I think Majora's Mask is better, so
yeah.
You're gonna have to convince
me.
I
get that opinion more and more as I realize as I've gotten older.
Yeah, you're extending the show.
Sorry. You just tell me to shut up.
Well, yeah, we can get into it. If you want to bring that argument, just email us out, and then we're gonna go into it. So just letting you know. So
cool.
But again, thank you for watching, and we will be back next week talking about Summer Games Fest. Bye.
Bye, guys.